Welcome everybody, this is How to English with Gav and Em.
It's a podcast about teaching and learning English as a foreign language.
All opinions stated are personal and source materials will be referenced where possible. What's up, Em?
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, yeah. What's up?
What's up?
Yeah.
Is that actually a question?
Yeah.
What's up? It's Friday.
Yay! Aren't you supposed to say nothing?
I don't know, don't I say what's up and you say...
What's up?
We just constantly keep saying what's up to each other. I don't know how it
That's
works.
it.
How does
Come
it
on,
work?
we need to learn this stuff. This is
Like, how are ya?
Yeah, how you doing?
No question really
You
there.
good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right?
Yeah.
I'm all right.
How you doing?
Okay. Should we...
What's happening?
What? Yeah. Okay. What's going on?
How you doing?
Okay.
What's up? No.
Do we need to do anything before we start? Any house cleaning? What's it called?
Keeping?
Housekeeping. Is there any housekeeping? We need to clear up any mistakes from previous episodes.
Probably, but I haven't got anything.
I think I've a habit of saying episode. No, of saying podcast instead of episode.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think that's the only really big mistake I've made.
That's
Yeah.
all.
Write in and tell me.
You're doing all right if that's the only mistake.
Send us a list of all the mistakes that Gavin's made so far.
Sounds fun.
It does, doesn't it?
Okay.
Excellent. So, as nobody knows, this episode is called How to Writing.
Yay. I think it leads on well from last week, which was how to reading.
That's it.
I think some of this will apply in the same way.
Yes.
And some topics will be similar.
And we've really taken the bull by the horns.
You mean bull with a U, not bull with an A, don't you?
Yes.
Because bulls don't have horns.
No. Footballs definitely don't have horns. No. And because I think this might be one of the more challenging of the topics for teachers and learners.
Why is that?
If I'm totally honest, my students don't do a lot of writing, especially in the class.
Why is that?
Because they always tell me their writing is fine, but they need to practice their speaking and
you
listening.
Don't believe
and
them, or
well, when they write to me and say, "I'm really sorry, but I have to cancel this week," and it's only one sentence and it's got 3 mistakes in it, I suspect they do need to practice their writing a little bit more often.
I think that's a very good point. But then that's a very...
Is that another podcast? Another episode?
No,
I did it again.
No. It could be another podcast, but I think that's an interesting one, even when you start talking about writing, because students tend to think writing means long, maybe boring texts, like they used to have to do at school, like an essay or something, or writing a story. Or it's not though, is it? Like you say, writing to your teacher to say you can't have the lesson is writing.
It is.
So
that's an email.
I think it's important to make that clear at the beginning of the course, that writing isn't only one thing. Writing is many things. And if a student just says, "Oh, I don't need to write," you need to just say, "That's not true. That can't be true. Nobody can live in this world without writing." Make it, don't be so dramatic, but just question them. Like, what exactly is that? What are you talking about? Because, we write to each other all the time, don't we?
That's true. That's true. We're always writing. And like you say, if it's an email, then it could be just one line or a couple of sentences or a WhatsApp.
Yeah, text messages, instant messages, it's all writing. And I have the same problem as you, or the same situation happens to me, that I get a lot of very garbled messages sometimes. You can kind of pick out the meaning, but it's a problem. And if that's not a student-teacher relationship, if that student is writing to other people in the same way, it's going to cause communication problems. And that's the main point, isn't it, of our job?
You could be writing to a client, and if your English is really not easy to understand, they might be confused by what you're asking.
Exactly. I had a student say they had to cancel the meeting.
Cancel completely?
Well, I assumed so, because that's what I understood, to cancel the meeting. But what they really meant was they couldn't attend.
Oh, okay. Or postpone?
No, it was just that student couldn't attend. And she wrote I need to cancel.
Were there
the
other
meeting.
students?
There were other students, but
okay.
unfortunately I didn't go to the lesson because I thought that the lesson had been cancelled.
Oh, no.
And then I realised they were all waiting for me to arrive.
The other 4 students were sitting there because they hadn't cancelled.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's confusing. Because cancel, it means there's no lesson.
Exactly. Okay. So that's also a vocabulary problem, but you can split
So
hairs
in your own language, maybe you say, I need to cancel, meaning I can't attend. And then if you directly translate from your language to English, you could be sending a completely different message to somebody.
Yeah, that's the problem. And I think maybe in American English you can say, I need to cancel, when you're just talking about yourself.
Oh.
But when you start with I need to cancel and then finish with the meeting, it changes it, doesn't it? So anyway, we're getting a bit distracted here.
Well, no, I like that, because emails, you could, even though we're thinking of remotely contacting the student or the teacher, vice versa, you could do some kind of activity in the classroom with emails. I've done that. Have you tried it?
Electronically, you mean?
No,
actually on devices? Paper emails.
Paper emails.
The hell are you talking about?
You get a little template that's in the shape of a, I don't know, Outlook, Gmail, email template. And then you write in the subject, you write the sender, and then underneath you write, Dear teacher, or dear whoever's sitting to your right, could be the next student, I would like to invite you to a meeting tomorrow afternoon at 2:00. Would you be available? Signed, and then you write your name, and then you exchange it with the student next to you, and then they have to respond.
I like it.
Yeah.
That could just keep going round and round as well.
It can, especially if you can't agree on anything.
You have to keep changing the arrangements. Yeah, that's really nice.
Of course, you can just do the electronic version of it, but actually when you've got it written on paper, then the teacher can collect them all at some point and then just go through them and say, all right, how can we phrase this better? Is this would or will? Maybe it's a conditional.
That's great. And I don't see why you couldn't just have a WhatsApp conversation in a group or something, just for a few minutes, just for fun.
Yeah, you can.
And then as an exercise at the end, you could say, well, what mistakes were made and where are the errors, that kind of thing. So it's not just head down with a pen and a piece of paper, just writing a long, boring thing.
Yeah.
It can be lots of fun. Have you ever heard of a running dictation?
I haven't. Can I just say something else about emailing?
Yeah.
It was only just because what's interesting is that you might be writing an email to a colleague, inviting them to a meeting, or your best friend to the park or something, or you're sending a WhatsApp, and these are all different levels of formality.
Yeah.
So then, are we going to talk about this later?
Yeah,
like
I am.
Style, format structuring.
Yeah, all right. Do you want to talk about it now?
No, we can come back to it.
I've mentioned running dictation. It's just hanging there. So
Yeah. What is a running dictation?
Well, you have a text on one side of the room.
Any kind of text?
Any kind of text. Anything may be relevant to the group's interests. And you put it on one side of the room. And the students line up next to the board in 2 teams.
Right.
And then you give one of them a pen, one from each team a pen, and they have to run to the text, memorise as much as possible.
They can't remove the text from the other side of the room.
They can't remove the text. They have to remember it as much as possible. And then you've got 2 choices as a teacher.
You mean they're memorising?
They memorise the text. Okay. Then they run back and they say to their next person in the line, the next student in their team, as much of it as they can remember, and that student writes it on the board. Or, I was going to say, you've got 2 options, or... What?
They could just write it themselves.
Yeah, it's just a bit quiet in that way. Everybody's a bit serious, and there's only one person doing any work.
Okay.
If you do it and it is called a dictation, which means you're dictating it to someone.
Of course you are.
So you can do it in the quiet way, where they're just memorising it, which is perhaps more pressure on them.
Yep.
If you want to include more people...
Is there a limit to how much you need to memorise?
No,
could you just do one word?
Well, you could, but you're not going to win, are you? Because the winning team...
Depends how fast you are.
The winning team is the one that finishes first. But...
Well, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute.
Wait. I know what you're going to say. you deduct points for mistakes.
Oh, what, every word mistake or grammar or
every
spelling
mistake.
mistakes?
Everyone.
Oh, God,
so
that's
you
challenging.
switch the text to the opposite team and they check the text.
They will check it thoroughly.
They'll
find every error in there.
So it's sort of like you can award 100 points each at the beginning of the game and then you -1 for every error.
So is that also a shouting dictation?
You can do it like that, but
Okay.
that's a high energy.
Whisper, shout.
Play with it, whatever you want. It's loads of fun.
Running,
Students
walking,
love it.
But be careful if you're in a classroom.
Yeah, of course.
No
Health
tripping
and
over.
Safety always. But
No tripping the other team.
It's loads of fun.
That's good.
So that's writing, isn't it? But
yes, that is writing.
It's not in the sense we think.
And incorporating the other skills, like you said, whispers, I think, in a previous episode.
I think it
so
does.
it sort of fits in with that. Again, it's listening, it's reading, it's writing, it's speaking, and then your spelling is really important in this case. Yeah. That's good. Any other activities you were going to mention? Because that was a really good one.
Well, I nicked all your ideas last week, so have you got any things that you want to say first?
Not connected to that particularly.
Can I just finish with the kind of activities then?
Yeah.
Because have you heard of consequences? Or sometimes it's called Exquisite Corpse? No?
No.
Did you never play it at school?
Not in my school.
Oh, I think
we never
you
used
did.
the word exquisite in my school.
No, we didn't. We called it consequences. But then I found other people calling it Exquisite Corpse.
Go on, I'm desperate to hear what this is.
It's one piece of paper. Somebody starts the story with a line. You fold
it
paper over and you just write the next part of the next sentence, the beginning of it.
1 word, 2 words?
1 or 2 words.
Okay.
How it continues on.
Like because, so it's those sort of conjunction, the linking words, because he...
Yeah.
And
then the next person writes, without seeing the previous sentence, the next part. And it goes on, and you fold it and fold it and fold it.
And then what?
And then you read it at the end, and it's so funny.
Oh, right. So the person at the end gets to read the whole thing back to the whole class.
Yeah.
That must be really funny.
It's hilarious. There are actually books with templates for it, which may be better for lower level lessons or
What do you
students.
need a template? You mean it's just got lines on it?
No, they've just got a few helping words. They've just given you an outline of the story, just to give a bit of help because it is quite hard to create it.
So there's some resource packs that have got some ideas for
I'm trying to think which
support.
book, but I've definitely seen it somewhere for teaching futures, which was quite good. But
that's a good one. But often stories are told in the past.
They are, so it usually does, work better as a story.
That's probably
like
more
that.
natural that you move around. But then, it's good to be able to move around in the tenses.
And give the students that creativity. And then, of course, at the end, you deal with any errors and problems, mistakes and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. So all the ones I'm thinking of are just really standard. I talked about exams a lot last time.
I thought you might
It's probably going to come up again. Because the most writing that I do is with my exam students. So these are from specific exams and you set them a task. First of all, you have a conversation, you talk about a particular topic, and then you set the student a task like write a review of a movie or a book or a play.
Write a review of a movie or a book, not write a book, you mean?
A review.
Sorry, I'm being silly.
We're going to come to storytelling later. Writing a review is really good. Or even like you'll stay in a hotel, review it like we said before, because there's a lot of connections with this lesson.
I said that, didn't I? Didn't I say that?
You did.
Yeah.
So you could be practicing writing a review of a hotel or a book or a movie or something else. And that can be loads of fun. And if you're the student, you could be writing from your own experience, which is really nice.
Yeah, I like that, making it real. But of course, there is the other side, as you've said about exam. It also applies to business people. It's not always fun. So you might need to help with reports reports or documentation, minutes from meetings.
Yes.
All of that is a big subject.
Yes.
You've got a lot of skills there.
And the business books have got lots of support for that.
Yeah. Gav, would you like a tea?
I only drink coffee.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that could be arranged.
Oh?
Followers, if you enjoy listening, watching or reading Gav and Em's How to English Pod, visit ko-fi.com/How to English Pod.
That's coffee, ko-fi.com/How to English Pod. And it would be lovely if you bought us a tea or a coffee to show us support. You could even get a mention on our show if you'd like. And also, what I really like is at the back of the book, they've usually got a sample, like a sample of a report, and it will go through the introduction, it will go through the structure, it will give you key phrases. It could be, thank you for the event that you held last week. It was really successful. So you're giving some feedback. Or it could be you're writing an apology to somebody, like, we're very sorry you didn't receive the products.
Yep.
We will try and send them within the next week. So it's all very specific stuff.
Yeah, it's important though. And I think like CVs and that kind of thing, it's not the best job in the world and it's not enjoyable, but
maybe it is. Some people enjoy it.
Who enjoys that? All right, I'm not ruling it out, but
there's always somebody who enjoys something. But it's good to have confidence that you practice in the classroom. Say you need to request some information from a hotel, for example. Do you have a buffet? If you've got some intolerance, you need to say, I'm very sorry, but... Well, no, don't apologise. Just tell them you're intolerant to, I don't know, something, bread, and then ask them if there's some alternative. And once you've got that confidence in the classroom situation, practicing with your teacher, then you know that when you're in the real world, then you're going to write that email or send that letter and it's going to be correct.
Yes, Gav.
All right. I see you're supporting me. I was thinking about postcards, but nobody sends postcards anymore.
Oh, they do.
They're becoming more fashionable, aren't they?
No, not even the old-fashioned type. Have you not seen the modern, like, send it digitally or get the company to, like, those card companies that upload your photo and then they print it and send it for you?
Birthday cards.
Yeah, but postcards are becoming very popular now in those sort of companies that can print it for you.
Wish you were here.
Yeah, nobody says that, do they?
Nobody says that.
Yeah.
But again, this really specific language, isn't it? If you have to send somebody an email like, we're sorry to hear about the loss in your family. This stuff is very specific language that we use in English.
Yeah, so and don't forget the internet is a fantastic resource. I know you said about in the back of books, and I agree with that, but if you just put in template for an apology letter, you're going to get loads of free templates coming up. Yeah. On the internet, so that can help support students. Really, and when, as you said, when you feel more confident, you don't need that. You can just start writing from scratch. But those letters can be quite hard for anybody.
They are. It's nice to have a guide to follow. I think I remember receiving a message from one of my students when I had a really, really bad cold. I think I cancelled the lesson, and a few days later, they just wrote on a WhatsApp or I don't know, Skype Messenger. They just wrote recovery ? And I think they meant to say get well soon or I hope you're feeling better, but it's quite funny, but it again, language that you use it specifically for that reason.
I imagine they just felt a bit lost really how to phrase that.
I know, and it's not something that you naturally know, so you need to learn it. Your teacher needs to teach it. Definitely. Student needs to learn it. That's good. I'm going to just continue talking about boring things, so have you got anything more fun?
Linkers. Let's go back to linkers.
Linkers. Conjunctions. Joining words.
Yeah. I think that is sometimes overlooked, and I think it's really important for speaking and a lot in writing. Yeah. Just that kind of grammar to focus on, and obviously exam lessons.
It makes your language much more sophisticated.
Yes, it does. So I think those are very important things to teach and focus on. So not only
because... And so...
However, additionally, furthermore...
Despite the fact...
Moreover, just makes your language more interesting.
And you can use more sophisticated sentences. That's really important. You're not just saying, I can't go because it's raining, but you might actually think of a much more sophisticated way to write it.
Yeah.
I'm not about to do that.
I was going to just say, I won't ask how, but yeah.
Was it not for the fact that it was raining? There's not even any linking words are there. Go on, carry on.
Dig that hole.
Deeper and deeper.
So what else have you got there?
I've got, deep in my mind, I'm thinking how to writing. I'm thinking storytelling. Everybody loves storytelling and telling anecdotes as well. Tell a good story. They're quite difficult to do.
In writing?
Yes. I think I was thinking about speaking, wasn't I?
Not in your head. I don't know. It's just
writing. Yeah, I just think storytelling and being able to really be imaginative and creative with language. Again, you need really good support, good foundations in those narrative tenses. So we're talking past simple, past continuous, past perfect. You need to know that language really well before you can start expressing yourself. Because if something happened before an earlier event, you have to use
past perfect.
Exactly.
I've had many conversations about past perfect, though. It's a bit of a controversial one because you can, and it comes back to what we said before, you can just write and then past simple, past simple. I went to the shops.
Chronological, I call that.
Yeah, I went to the shops. I did some shopping. I remembered I can't do it without past perfect.
Have you heard me teach this? I woke up, had a shower, had breakfast, went to work, and it's just so boring.
Yeah.
And then and when I arrived to work, I realised I had forgotten to get dressed.
Yeah, and how boring is that?
Otherwise.
How boring is that as a story if you just give that away at the beginning? Yeah. I got up, I forgot to get dressed, I went to work.
That would be really boring.
I remembered. Yeah. That's just not a funny story, is it?
It's not.
That's just creepy.
So learn grammar, use it, because it makes language, and it makes storytelling so much more fun. And I was thinking, because it's nice to share little anecdotes, but now I'm thinking about speaking again.
I'm totally going to use that example in my next past perfect lesson of how to make a story
It's
fun.
yours. That's free.
Thanks.
It's free from me to you.
That's brilliant. I love
good.
it.
What's this episode? This is writing.
Yes.
Which ones have we done?
I think we've done reading, vocabulary, grammar.
So if you've missed any of the previous episodes, go back, listen, and then you'll know everything.
Are we wrapping up?
No, I just thought that was
a
good time to remind people to return to the previous episodes.
Yeah, we've done some good stuff.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about what you said. What was the word you said?
Storytelling, anecdotes.
Level of formality.
Yes.
You said about
when we're
appropriateness. That's a really, really important thing.
For writing?
For writing, that's the topic today.
You mean writing what?
Anything. So if you send a WhatsApp message that's 3 paragraphs long just to say, I am unable, unfortunately, to attend this meeting today, and therefore I am writing to tell. That is not appropriate. That is not the, let's say, best way of doing that. And likewise, if you send a very important person an email saying, can't make it, catch you next time.
Yeah, boss.
That doesn't sound very professional or good. That can be quite challenging for teachers and students to really get that subtlety and explain why. And, I love it, really. I find it fascinating.
You do?
Yeah. What makes it interesting and what makes it formal.
It's good to see a passionate teacher.
That's me.
Are you going to give us some tips?
I think you just have to keep looking at it. And keep
until it disappears.
No. You have to just keep comparing it. I think I just end up showing students emails.
Yes,
trying
examples.
To tell them.
I agree with you. Showing examples.
To explain it to you. Just say, what is it about that email that makes it formal?
Yes.
What is it about that one that makes it informal?
Dear or hi.
Yeah, and the grammar.
Yours sincerely.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah, there's something really good. Is it Lingua House?
In Lingua House, yeah.
Is it that? They've got a really good email section.
Have they?
Yeah.
Most websites seem to have really good examples.
It might not be that, though. It might be First Stop English.
They're both really good resources.
Yes, they are both very good. They've got some really good ways of breaking it down and really analysing them.
Yeah, it can be a bit overwhelming though when you just send a link to a student and it's got 500 ways to apologise.
Yeah, you're right. You've got to pick. The way I like to do it is just to pick a couple of emails from a book and then just ask one student to read it to the class and then ask the class to summarise what it was about.
Yes.
And then to make a subject line for it so that they can actually think about how to reduce it into something very
clever.
Small.
Oh, I like that.
And short.
So you're summarising.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so that introduces the text. They're familiar with it already, and then all they then do is pick out what's formal about it, what's informal about it. That's, I think, a nice way to present it.
I really like that. And then you could go on to my idea, which is somebody replies to it, or
you
could have the whole activity.
A whole lesson, isn't
that.
it?
Yeah. And you really can. And that's nice. And you break down, you check spelling, you check grammar, you check all the details, and you say, what's a better way of saying this? I really like it. Writing's really fun. I should do it more often with my students, except none of them want to.
Oh, don't say that. It's like you've just come back to the beginning.
My students. I'm not saying all students, but none of them seem to want to practice with me.
What did you do to them that's made them that way?
I don't know. I think I mentioned there's an app that you can put onto your computer. Maybe I mentioned it in a previous episode.
You did. You mentioned it in the technology lesson
technology episode, using technology. And there's an app. If you go to YouTube, it's advertised all the time, or maybe just on my YouTube, but you can download it. It's got a free version and it does work. It's quite good. It can't really understand my very complicated sentences, but I think any normal average sentence it corrects. It tells you to put some punctuation in there.
Oh, we didn't talk about punctuation.
Oh, God, yeah. And yeah, so that's very useful.
And
so
what's
there are
that
lots of
called,
apps.
Gav?
I can't remember now.
That's called Grammarly.
Oh, right, okay.
I wasn't
going to...
We're not plugging them.
No, it's too late now. You said it.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, punctuation's really important. Commas, full stops, put a comma between clauses.
Yeah, very, very important, actually. I think I'm flagging here.
Am I losing you, Em?
A little bit.
Punctuation is very important. Learn it. There's loads of tips online. You can just type it in and say,
Maybe
how
we'll
do I
have
use
a separate episode about punctuation.
I
we
think
need
so.
to.
We'll have to do some research first. But yeah, I think so. So that's really important. As I said, there are apps online to help you with your writing, or just go to a website, read some information, how to write, and it will give you some structure, some style. I was going to mention other skills for exams, like you need to learn how to write an argument, and you break it down into each paragraph. There should be one argument per paragraph, and then try and see if you can add a kind of contradictory or opposing argument within that essay. Good stuff. Really good stuff. You're just looking at who blanked me now. To sum up,
sorry, yeah,
I think that's it really. I definitely like all the different activities. You've got writing reviews, writing essays, there's arguments, there's writing an apology, like requesting things, demanding money from companies. Where's the payment for this? They're all really good exercise, especially for exam students who must pass their exams with good writing skills.
Yeah.
Have you got any questions for me?
Do you write much? I
write emails quite a bit to my students. Yeah, yeah, and to family sometimes. Mm-hmm. Do you?
Yeah, same thing really. I've tried a bit of poetry and.
Have you?
Yeah.
You read a poem a couple of episodes ago?
It wasn't mine, but yeah.
Oh, are we going to get some more poetry soon?
You might do. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to that.
I'm thinking about it.
All right. Well, thanks to all our followers on all of the places like Instagram, and find us on Spotify, iTunes, everywhere. Anything else, Em?
Nope, thank you.
And thank you to the listeners. Thank you to us. Thanks to the world. Keep safe out there. Keep doing what you're doing as long as it's healthy, and be safe. Thanks, Em.
Thanks, Gav.
See ya.
See ya. Bye-bye.